Welcome back to week 2 of the NALCS Spring Split. Make sure you get your tickets because you could be the guys getting your stuff signed down there by the professional players. I'm Rivington Bism III, and I am joined by Joshua Jatt Leesman for our next 2 LCS games, starting with Evil Geniuses versus Team Dignitas.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this next one. I'm doing pretty well, Weird. I was just doing some analysis desk with Freak.
Yeah.
I'm up here with you, so I think I like casting a bit more.
It's going to be fun. Let's get to yell into microphones. Let's check in with what you have been saying. Earlier we asked you, which team do you expect to break away from the pack this weekend and why? Here's what you had to say. Mr. Pitts is saying, I think Dignitas is going to start shedding a little more light on their skill. The win against C9 gave them the confidence.
Yeah, and they're going to have the confidence of what just happened in their first game of the day. So, I mean, if they go 2-0 this day, then that's going to do a lot for separating them from the pack right off the bat.
Absolutely. Our next tweet was Rivera2444, Team Solo Mid. Bjergsen looks better and better every game. Dyrus is the example of consistency, and the rest of the crew, simply awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how much more Bjergsen LeBlanc we're going to get to see. Then we can see how impressive he can be on other champions. But so far, we talked about it in the pregame today, how great Bjergsen has actually been for TSM. So
he doesn't like Teemo. We'll know that. Adaptive Gamer up next. He says, I think Curse will break away. They will end the curse of the curse this season. Voyboy and Quas are OP, and is Coach Vicious.
Yeah.
Vicious.
Coach Vicious.
Got it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good one.
It's funny because their curse was forever 4th, but they actually broke that by finishing 6th. Now it's all about positive thinking and breaking it to go above 4th. So maybe.
Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate all of you that wrote in, and those that didn't. You're breaking our hearts. You really are. They're just not taking the time. I mean, your monitor's right there. You have 2, right? You're just able.
I'll give them 3 tries to break my heart, and then I'll never talk to them again.
Wow. All right, 3 tries. All right, we're going to send it over to Freak, who's joined by 2 members of the Victorious Curse.
Thank you very much, Riv. I am here with Voyboy and Z-Kent. Guys, off of victory here, 3-2 now. So let's talk about playing against Coast. So you played them just last week, did well there. A little bit of deja vu this game, another Baron Steel coming through. But tell me how you guys thought coming into this game.
So we beat Coast last week. We know they're good. They had an amazing run in their 2-0 day last week after starting 0-2, and we had like a kind of bad day where we went 0-2. But we know Coast. Like, we practiced against them a lot. They're the team that we've played against the most out of anyone. When we were both in relegation, just fighting to stay in the LCS, we scrimmed them, I think, like dozens and dozens of times. So we know them like the back of our hand. We just kind of predicted a lot of their picks, and we were able to play into it pretty well. I don't think that they are too much of a threat to us. I think they're a really good team, but for some reason, we always just perform very well against them. I think that's probably just an advantage we have.
Do you think that's just from knowing them so well from practicing against them? Like, why is it that you're sort of their kryptonite here, even though they're a strong team?
Honestly, I don't know. I think we just like have them pretty much figured out. I think they're all really good players, and I think that they are an amazing team. But for some reason, whenever we play them, we just win, and I don't really know why.
Okay, so Zeke, then coming into this game, you were talking to me off camera that the picks and bans were pretty much exactly what you expected. Tell me about this.
So we basically looked at what Coast picked the past last week and the week before that. It's like we pretty much know like what they're coming in with. They threw the same bans out against us like before, like when we scrimmed them. They threw out the same bans against other teams, and it's just like we pretty much knew what they were going to throw at us, and we knew approximately what our champion pool was because we played against them alive, as White said. And we just were really prepared for them.
So then coming into this and speaking about picks that you can prepare for, Quas has played 4 new champions in 5 games. So he's clearly doing some new things as well. Tell me about like what he's been doing to shake things up.
Quas is a really good player. He's very versatile. I see a lot of like similar qualities in him as when I play top lane and now I guess mid. I think that he has a really wide champion pool, and hopefully over the course of LCS we can just shed more light on that.
To show more and more of it. Okay, so let's actually get into a replay then of that Baron fight. You guys got them. You started at Dragon. They started doing Baron. Of course, they walked through a ward. Let's get that up on your screen. Zeke, actually, Voyboy, if you want to take us through it.
All right, so we had just started Dragon. We were cognizant of the fact that they could have went for Baron, and then as soon as they like motioned towards it, we just started running. We knew they would be pretty low because they're not that ahead. I just threw a Ziggs ult, chunked all 5 of them really low. Zeke came in with an amazing flash anti-ult, and we just like started wrecking them. This is where the nerfs kick in. Dominate just went for the smite, got it, and we basically killed them all. It was kind of a desperation play from them. I think they thought that they'd be able to burn it in time while we were doing Dragon, but what they probably didn't predict is how fast we'd be able to react and just cut them off and kill them. So I think it was a bit of a hasty decision, and it ended up working out pretty well for us.
Well, of course, congratulations to you guys. Zeke, and I got a question for you, actually, about the bottom lane in this game. Because you're fighting up against a top laner with Teleport, Zion Spartans Nasus, and you know Quas can't help you. How do you play an aggressive lane where you know it could be a 3v2 at any time?
There are times, especially with the Jax, there are times when he's going to be able to stop the Nasus from TPing in. Unfortunately, like that wasn't the case in the first kills. But we have the burst damage on our lane, like Annie, Lucian. We can like blow up one of their champions before Nasus can finish his TP in. So even though he was able to get in and get a kill, we were massively ahead. We got the kill onto our AD carry, and we spent Zion's TP, and Quas was able to get even further ahead in his lane.
Yeah. All right, so well done there then. I got to ask you then about some sort of out-of-game things. You guys have Coach Vicious in the background helping you guys out. What's he been doing for you guys?
Saint's around. He watches some of our scrims. He gives feedback if he sees something that he thinks is, like, he basically just bounces his ideas back on us, and sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes we take them into account, and it affects our play. But, yeah, I mean, he's a helping hand. People say that he, like, completely dictates, like, dominates jungle picks, but dominates just coming in, like, on his own fire, I think. He's been picking up, like, Pantheon. We see it's been banned out, like, almost every single game, and that's just, like, of his own volition. And now we saw EU LCS playing it, like, so much. I don't know if we're going to get Pantheon for the rest of the LCS, to be honest, but, yeah.
I like hearing that when the picks come out, and you're like, yeah, Pantheon's now global banned against Curse here. So looking forward. You guys have more games to play both this weekend and the rest of the season. Where are you guys headed?
Hopefully we're heading for the top. Like, we're working really hard, and we're looking really strong in scrims. We're looking pretty good right here, and right now we're aiming for #1.
All right, aiming for #1. Thank you guys very much, Zeke and Voiba. Congratulations on your win. Of course, we'll see more of you throughout the season. Now, guys, we've got more coming up as we gear for our next game. Let's throw it back over to Riv and Jat.
Thank you very much, Freak. And up next, we've got Pobelter and Evil Geniuses taking on Skara and Dignitas. And Jat, Evil Geniuses are in need of a strong showing here. They come into this game with only one win right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of hard to know exactly what's going to happen in this game because both of these teams have looked shaky in the first week, and then Dignitas has surged forward to a 3-2, but they even had a shaky start to that XDG game. So while Evil Geniuses, they've been unpredictable because they're solo lane variants.
Yeah.
Generally, Pobelter and Inox have been completely hit or miss, and they need to find some more consistency in those roles.
And even when you look at the bottom lane, you see there is a big difference in experience. While Crepo and Yellow Pete have been together for years, the Kiwi Pie team-up is a new recipe for Dignitas.
Yeah, and quite honestly, Evil Geniuses' bot lane needs to do more to carry their team. Because they got way ahead in one game and they weren't able to finish, whereas Dignitas' bot lane has done surprisingly well. I mean, I'm a Cutie Pie is 3-0 so far as Jinx. In the last game, he only died once, and Kiwi Kid, obviously right beside him, is a large part of that success.
And while the Evil Geniuses have pushed them around in scrims, Dignitas believe they're the team to beat and may have found the key to victory.
EG is a team that we have scrimmed often, and they actually destroyed us in the scrim. Like, playing against them, like, wow, we are getting just slaughtered by them. What's going on? This team should not be doing this to us. And the last time we scrimmed them, we actually were able to take some games off them. Now, I think that from the displays of games that we've shown, the caliber, EG would probably be more scared of us than we would be of them. So I think going against them, it'll be a matchup of who can simply outskill the opponent, because I don't think it'll be decided too much in the picks and bans.
To be honest, I think we have the advantage over them. And even though our Super Weave wasn't that strong, we still think I have the advantage over Dignitas. It's hard to really pinpoint what the fault is in Dignitas' team, but I think their bot lane is still a little bit weak. If we can get something going on their bot lane, it gives a strong advantage. I feel Kiwi Kid is susceptible to making quite a few mistakes, and if we can just pick on that, I think it's good for us.
So, you know, we look at EG's bot lane, EG's looking at Dignitas' bot lane.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see a lot of jungle pressure down there. I know Snoopy is definitely going to try and focus that one out.
We'll have to see what can happen. We've seen them with a very early start on EG. See if they can snowball that one this time. Right now, we're going to check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it is Evil Geniuses. In the top lane is Inox. In the jungle is Snoopy. Pobelter in mid lane, Yellow Pete at 80 carry, and Crepo on support.
And on the red side, it is, of course, Team Dignitas in their second match of the day. Cruiser in the top lane, Crumbs in the jungle, Scar making a very big point in the mid lane. I'm a Cutie Pie on AD, and Kiwi Kid resting a bit on support.
He's saying, listen to me, but that Dignitas, and it's something we mentioned now throughout their games with this momentum, it has so much more life to them.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was talking to them after the game on the interview desk, I'm a Cutie Pie and Crumbs just started having like a team discussion, being like, well, actually, it happened this way. It was an interesting side of I'm a Cutie Pie that I hadn't seen much of before.
It's something you usually don't see Dignitas doing. They're normally very quiet as a team and then make it happen. Usually you can get a few things out of Crumbs if you talk to them. But other than that, like you talk to EG and Snoopy will tell you a lot of stuff. Crepo will tell you a lot of stuff. So they're really coming around in mentality and obviously their form in game, and it's showing.
Yeah, 3 wins in a row, trying to go for 4 here. I know in the spring split of Season 3, they started off a little slow in Week 1. Everyone said Dignitas is dead. Well, I've seen this story before. They went on a 10-game winning streak right there, so let's see how they do here.
Skara not going to see any of his Gragas for the rest of this season, I think.
We'll see again. I mean, it's the most banned champion against Dignitas. It's banned 4 times out of 5 games for them, so that's a pretty impactful thing right there. And bans are being kind of just thrown out rather quickly and not incredibly focused. So there's a lot of options available.
It hits every position, really.
Exactly. They're just kind of just taking the top dog of each position. Obviously, they threw 2 bans at Scar, but I don't know how much that's going to affect him. He's actually been able to play 5 different champions in 5 games, despite his heavily criticized champion.
Yeah. I was going to say, that makes a big change for him, but that's what everybody needed to do over the split, and we see that support is prioritized for EG.
Yeah, here's the big thing, actually. Crepo hasn't had a Leona game, despite it being his favorite champion going all the way back to Season 2. 3 Thresh and 1 Lulu so far. Obviously, Thresh was banned, so he had to go with Leona. That's going to be a very good champion for him to be on. I know during the promotion tournament, Crepo had amazing success with Leona.
It's one of the champions that, as they were saying, they can start to take advantage of that bottom lane of Dig if they have to.
Yeah, I think if they get a little bit ahead, they're going to be able to turn things, especially against something like a Jinx. I'm a Cutie Pie. 3 wins in a row is Jinx, as we were talking about. No reason why he's not going to just lock it in right again. But one thing about Jinx, and this point might take a little while, it's huge in North America and Europe, but it hasn't been huge over in the OGN in Korea.
Okay.
Because when a Jinx gets fed, it's kind of a known threat that teams can sometimes focus down. And if I'm a Cutie Pie makes a single mistake, or if EG makes a really good play with long-range initiation, like Leona and Vi, if they combo them, they can delete that threat right at the start of a fight, which does make it a dangerous pick.
A kind of conditional escape that you're toying with gets very dangerous. See, Skara really likes that Ziggs coming in. So if you don't get Gragas, throw other barrels, throw other things.
First-time duplicate champion. He actually tweeted after that last game, "Man, I played so terrible. Thanks for a team for carrying me." But he's on the same champion once again. Really, the only other champions he won on that aren't banned was Karthus, and it's definitely too early to pick that. I think Ziggs is the stronger pick right now.
And they look to keep strong initiation in that bottom lane for themselves. If they do pick up this Annie, we've seen the Jinx Annie combination all over the place.
Yeah, the Annie has been the most favorite of all picks for Dignitas. Kiwi Kid now having picked Annie 4 out of 6 games. Obviously, the Annie's been nerfed, as we talked about. The early stun duration, 1.25 seconds, down from 1.75, but it's still a kill lane. I actually has thought that Kiwi Kid and Cutie Pie would be the first ones to do a kill lane in the bottom lane, which would be like double bruiser. But they're saying, well, we don't need to do that because we can just do a kill lane with Jinx Annie and still have an AD carry, and that's what they're going with.
It might be hard to kill an Ezreal, the second one we've seen here, Doublelift playing the other one.
It really depends if they can lock Yellow Pete down in that bottom lane. That's a very, I want to say, passive pick by Yellow Pete. He has yet to play Ezreal so far in this 2014 season. There's an off chance that that's a mid lane for Pobelter because he would definitely be able to poke down Ziggs and punish quite well.
Right.
They're actually typing some things right now because he's locking in the Nidalee, trying to make sure he gets the right thing down.
Doesn't lock in that Anivia on accident. or abandon. So we do. Oh, wow.
Yep. It's Inox playing the carry top
Something
laners.
he can try to carry on. That's EG.
Exactly. That's either a top lane Zed or like the Nidalee and the Zed can go either way. I'm not sure where they're going to put
Mundo
both those
matchup.
guys.
Because Cruiser loves his Mundo.
Oh, Cruiser's definitely
Definitely
loving Mundo right now. Elise amazingly is available until the very end.
What?
Yeah, you had a stat on Elise, actually, didn't you?
She was 100%.
Yeah, 100% pick ban, and she was a second away from not being picked or banned in this one. But Crumbs is going to be
She keeps it.
locking down on that. All right, here.
Pretty sweet compositions coming out. I'm liking what's happening on the EG side. They're trying to give those solar laners a way to go.
Yeah, going with the top lane Nidalee will be very interesting to see on Inox. Whether he decides to go with a top lane AP Nidalee and work in a bit of a poke comp, or if he tries to do the classic, really something that's fallen out of favor, the tank Nidalee that just split pushes and tries to annoy the whole game and continually draws Dignitas out of position. I really wonder what he's going to be going with here in the context of his team composition.
All right, well, we're going to quickly check in. Head over to lolesports.com before we move on and see who you think will rack up another win. According to LOL Esports, 52% of you think Evil Geniuses are going to take this one out. And didn't get the vote last game they had. So.
This is a real close thing, and I just have to touch on something before. Oh, that Kiwi Kid had Ghost and Teleport until like half a second to champion select. And then he switched to standard Flash Ignite. No, 52% in favor of
EG.
EG, you said?
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely have the fans behind him still.
A little bit. Dignitas is growing in fan following, especially after their first couple games of Week 1 and their 22-minute defeat that they suffered at the hands of Team Solo Mid. Things weren't looking too good for them back then.
Sometimes it kind of takes a kick in the bottom to get yourself going in the right direction, and that made them rethink and situate and reassess what they were doing. So far, it's been working out really well. They're keeping Crumbs on the shot-calling position, and it's flowing.
And especially because they're so recently removed from that great comeback victory, we've seen teams just take that momentum and roll straight through the next game. So Evil Geniuses got to be careful they don't run into a freight train at the start of this game.
All right, so we are going to be hopping into the matchup. It is Dignitas versus Evil Geniuses. Last game we saw Dig in today, the first one of the day, they had a comeback victory. We'll see if that momentum stays with them now.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the Doran start by the supports. Both of these guys looking to get fairly aggressive. I know Crepo was probably the first support I saw with the 2014 season changes to just swear off the gold per 10 items start of the game, especially because of how aggressive he's going to want to get early on Leona. Knowing that Kiwi Kid and I'm a Cutie Pie play that Jinx Annie like a kill lane, a squishy kill lane that can be counterattacked, which is why it's quite important that Crepo builds defensively.
Indeed, the Doran's ring is going to give them that good amount of attack that they want, and everybody starts off safety potions, as they would. So we see the line of scrimmage being created by both teams. The human sentries are out. And
haven't seen this before.
I haven't seen this ever. Like I said, though, in our first game, really, Fnatic was the only one here in 4.1 that's done an invade.
And also on the previous patch, we did see EG do an invade and get a kill with Thresh, actually multiple kills. Theory number 2 that I think teams are going to start doing eventually. Kobe touched on it a bit in the previous game, how everyone just kind of waits in these lines and then generally wards early on. And then since they're very short duration wards, by the time the junglers get double buffs, they go and gank a lane. I think teams are going to start to delay their trinket placements at the start of the game, since almost all the junglers will be in the habit of clearing double buffs anyway. That way they can actually spot the double buff jungler with their trinket ward when said gank happens. But for now, these players are still kind of set in their ways, and they like having the early vision to know where rotations happen. Like these, for instance. If you waited for the trinket wards, they may not know to counter-invade.
So we do have the late ones. Very nice. And we also have, again, the sweeper on the Kiwi Kid, which was really a catalyst for Crumbs to repeat that lane.
Yeah, the very early sweeper, I almost never agree with that as a choice, because generally supports just bring the extra wards. But in this matchup specifically, since no one actually bought a real ward, a non-trinketed ward, it will effectively sweep out some substantial vision. And that means now that EG is blind in the top lane, since that one sweeper ward was taken out up there.
We'll see what matchup they get. Obviously, it's going to be against Inox, and he should fare quite well in the 2v1 situation. And we always know Mundo does too, so we'll come back to those lanes.
And speaking of 2v1s, this is a really interesting wrinkle. As almost everyone may know, the turrets that are in the mid lane and the top lane now have a super Doran shield of sorts and 20 armor, or basic attack, 20 damage reduction.
Yep.
But what's happened here is the fast-pushing team with Jinx, who is the best turret-killing AD carry early game, is going against the strong turret because they wanted to dodge the very slow-pushing Leona and Ezreal in the bottom lane. Now, what's actually going to happen off of this, I think, is even when you get some defenders, these turrets actually might fall very close to each other as far as damage goes, just since Jinx And Elise, especially being a ranged jungler, can kill turrets so much faster.
And they time this perfectly. They have the siege wave there. It's going to give them a little extra. Mirrored on the bottom lane, but this turret, as we said, should fall a little faster. Dignitas is eyeing this turret, and it looks like they're actually going to grab it. Sub 4 minutes.
Yeah, and normally you'd think, hey, the counterplay is to just push the bottom lane faster, but they can't anymore. The turret's gone. The second turret doesn't actually have the damage reduction, and if they want to keep doing this turret push, they're completely free to.
And EG is trying to follow up on this as well. Quaz has not even gone to lane. We know him for just hanging out in the jungle during this.
Yeah.
Or Cruiser, sorry.
Yeah, both of the top laners don't want to deal with three people, so they've turned into junglers. They kind of done a little swap. I just really want to point out, you see how much slower those champions are attacking when compared to I'mACutiePie, who gets attack speed from his minigun, and then Elise, who gets attack speed from her frenzied W. So
we could see how happy he was about Jinx during the interview. He almost couldn't speak. He's like, you get that excitement. You take down turrets so fast. You're a turret takedown person. And he's doing it right now.
That was the I'mACutiePie excitement right here. And this is a very early dragon. You can see 125 gold per person, which actually doesn't factor into much more than the turret. I definitely think that the two turrets
such a fast-paced game
are better at this point. You only got 625 gold for the dragon. You get more global gold combined with a local gold from the top turret. And Dignitas has outplayed this early game. I don't think EG would have expected a 2v1 just turret rush in the top lane, especially with the 4.1 turret changes. Just goes to show you that's why you have to play the games.
That's what you got to do, is take your enemy off guard and put them on their heels. Right now, it's going to be the inhibitor turret taking quite a bit of damage. Like you said, these extra turrets don't have that following armor, and these are going to go down fast. A 400 gold lead coming up in an inhibitor turret at half, which they do heal now, so it's going back up.
And Inox has some of the worst wave clear of a top lane champion you can have early on in the game. That's one of the reasons the push was going to be so successful. Cruiser has slightly better, I think, at least CSing early on in the game from range. And obviously, because the dragon was taken by Evil Geniuses, Cruiser also has the farm advantage. This early game, strategically, has been substantially better by Dignitas.
Really focusing to make sure these lanes have been won. They knew exactly what they wanted to do for those first few minutes and see if they actually had something in mind for the follow-up, because they made it pretty far in that push. Where can they go now?
I know. Now, I think they just turned their sights right back to people who aren't Leon and Ezreal. I think I'mACutiePie and Kiwi Kid are a little bit scared of the potential aggression from Krepo. You can see Krepo's going all in right now. He already has a health crystal. He wants to fight the Jinx and the Annie. It's just a matter of Dignitas avoiding it.
And there is so much roam going on. We can see Yellow Pete being left alone in the bottom lane. Krepo trying to advance and make something happen in mid. EG is scrambling right now a little.
Yeah, EG is a little bit out of sorts. I think it really caught them off guard.
Yeah.
That two of their top lane turrets were taken down so quickly. And now they might get caught off guard by the roaming Kiwi Kid Annie support. That's something that was extremely effective for Dignitas in their win earlier against Coast, and we'll see if they can do it again.
He doesn't look that dangerous, just kind of hopping through the jungle. Looks kind of cute.
Yeah.
We'll see him now throw a fiery bear on your face. As he goes in, looks for Krepo. No, they
needs a few
not.
levels before the fiery bear.
One, yeah.
Right now, it's just paltry fireballs.
It could be a tiny fiery bear.
That don't even stun for that long.
No, not anymore. Yeah. Get her leveled. Let's go.
4 people now in the bottom lane. Cruiser's probably going back up to try and defend that top turret to not trade them back. And since Dignitas has the numbers advantage here, they feel safe sieging. Notice that it is 3 melee champions against 3 range champions against 1 range champion and 2 melee champions on EG's side, which means the turret sieging and the pushing potential of Dignitas is much higher.
And that's causing Pobelter to roam down a little bit, now returning to mid lane, a 7 versus a 6. They're even in CS there, so it's only grabbed a little bit by Skara.
Yeah. It's been a strange mid lane for those guys. They've just kind of watched the side turrets fall, and they've seen where the jungler is this entire time, so they're the only ones that have had a completely standard laning phase. Surprisingly, neither of them have shopped. You almost always see a Zed and a Ziggs shop early on in the game, just so they can either assassinate or avoid getting assassinated by one another. I think just the fact there's been so much roaming, they do not want to leave their turret undefended, lest it be pushed by 3 people and dropped.
Many things to think about for these guys. You can see Skara almost on his last leg there of HP, but he has the blue buff to keep himself clearing those waves in middle. Pobelter's been doing a very nice job of actually being able to push back a Ziggs. It's kind of a hard task to do.
Yeah, I think he's been doing quite well. The Doran Shield is the defensive Zed start to try and combat the auto attack harass of Skara. I think mainly it's just been a trade lane. You can see that Skara is actually going a little bit offensive against Pobelter. The regular Ziggs build that I see against Zeds is Doran's Ring, second Doran's Ring, and a tier into a Seeker's Arm Guard. And the fact that Scars went straight for a Blasting Wand makes me think he's not going for the armor itemization, which makes him very vulnerable if Pobelter can successfully all-in him.
See, that could be coming up very soon here. We saw a lot of movement from the teams just a few minutes ago. We'll have to see how the rest of the matchups go. We look now that Inox and Cruiser are faced 1v1, and Italy has kind of fallen off of being in the top lane. Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why Nidalee hasn't been seen in the top lane, because her laning phase generally is kind of land a spear, win the lane. Okay. That works much better against squishy champions, especially when she can get the blue buff and a bit of AP and start letting those spears hurt. And also, Bruiser Nidalee, or the tank Nidalee, fell off heavily when her Cougar form armored magic resist got stripped. That was many patches ago. So it's actually not the Bruiser Nidalee Inox is going for. He's going with the AP Nidalee. And we got ganks on both sides of the map here.
Yep, both lanes are seeing action. Cutie Pie could go down here, and he does. It hits him on the backside. Crepo is going to be falling in the exchange, and it looks like they are still chasing Cruiser back to his turret. In the top lane, Crumbs makes it out. Cruiser does not. And it looks like they're trading back and forth on either side.
All said, though, this was much better for Evil Geniuses. They turned this gank around 2v3 and nearly got 3 kills, just got the 1, whereas their gank in the other lane was not retaliated. So very good things by EG here. That's the fear that Dignitas had of the Leona, but let's take a look at this this other gank here.
Looks like they had to use
They didn't even land the spear. They get the assault and battery. And then they just had an Ignite on and just brute force that tower dive. People often underestimate the Cougar form burst for Nidalee once she hits level 6, and Inox put it all on Cruiser right there and was able to finish him off.
Good thing he had that Fiendish Codex AP that he just bought. That's going to help him out a little bit there. As they back off, the turret goes down in their favor. EG starting to make a few moves back structurally against Dignitas. They've tied those up, have a 2,000 gold lead. It looks like they may have found themselves a Crepo.
Ooh, and he doesn't even have his ultimate up. This is a dead Crepo.
Yeah, at level 6, Crepo going down. The team's not going to be able to use him for now, but they are getting the dragon on Dig's side.
He didn't get his ward down afterwards. Despite not having a teleport on Cruiser, he was able to roam down. There's no turret for him to defend. Dignitas trying to go for this objective. And it doesn't look like EG can get in range to counterattack this one, Riv.
Crepo looking to come back. He was a big part of being in that fight, so the team had to back off. You see the spear is starting to hurt. That Unthine's Unholy Grail is finished. Like you said, it's not an AP, or it's not a tank Nidalee.
Yeah, this game got really interesting because Dignitas has seemed to outplay the objective game, but EG has made all the other moves properly. I have to say, Pobelter's farm in the mid lane is spectacular. And really the turned around gank by Yellow Pete and Crepo really speaks volumes to how much stronger they can be in 2v2 and skirmish situations. And now that Inox has an Athene's Unholy Grail, is just absolutely massive as far as trying to get some mid lane tower siege down. They won't be able to reach the turret too well unless Scar runs out of mana / gets a little bit low from Nidalee spears. But you know, they're actually looking to take some of these objectives back now since they have 2 squishy solo laners, and Cruiser still needs to farm up before he can start running at them.
Yeah, he does not even have the Sunfire Cape in his inventory yet. We're still looking at just Sork Boots and the Spirit Gem. Looking onto Crumbs. He's making the shot calls, we have to remember. Coming from the other side, not too sure. I'd say it might be Snoopy. I know Crepo talks a lot for the bottom lane on EG.
Yeah, EG definitely has a small committee, probably a committee of 2. It's Snoopy and Crepo who like calling the shots. They have actually complimented Inox and Pobelter for being vocal, but mostly on their ability to follow what they're saying and put in input when they see fit. Like if they disagree with something, they'll bring it up, and then Snoopy or Crepo will make an appropriate call.
And looking at Dig, how they are doing in the big picture, usually it's Skara. They've got him a kill so far. He's on that Archangel staff, and he is starting to power up. He can carry this.
Yeah, that is the Squishy as Ziggs to play against a Zed and Nidalee. He has almost no health. He has no resistances in that build. And if he gets hit by one spear, or even just a nice shadow Q shot from Zed, he's going to have to basically fall away from the turret. It's a incredibly greedy power build by Scar, but what it gives him the ability to do, as you saw there, was one-shot that back wave with his Q.
He's trying to keep himself strong in that. Looking down at Crepo, usually you see Leona go for gold generation build, but there's none there, actually.
No, that's not what Crepo believes in. He also thinks that a Sightstone in itself is like gold per 10 because he was going to be buying the wards anyway. So he puts much more emphasis on getting the Sightstone because that not only gives him better vision control early, it also gives him more resilience since Leona is one of the best scaling supports with health.
Well, looks like that's exactly what he's trying to do. Yellow P, a lot of AD carries more or less, or even, I guess, everyone. You see a mana pot and Crumbs is. For that, you know, throughout the fight, they need a little bit more mana. More people are picking up consumables.
More juice.
More juice.
Yellow Pete going with a Bloodthirster straight away. The other Ezreal we saw in North America was actually Double Lift's attempt to revive the blue build Ezreal.
Yeah.
First off, he started with the wrong trinket, so that wasn't good. But secondly, it just didn't work out in Double Lift's game. Surprisingly, I think that game was against Evil Geniuses, and they knew all about how that one didn't work. This
It's
time,
almost like games are
Pete's
too
going
short for that expensive of a build now. In some cases.
Oftentimes.
Yeah, right.
It's more that the tanks are getting to that point where they just run him down before he can actually get the Iceborne Gauntlet to stop him. I think overall games have actually increased in time in Europe by about 3 minutes. That was in an infographic I checked out earlier.
Inox looks like he gets the blue. That's going to help out, you know, EG. Try to get some siege potential. Pobelter just gets taken out under the turret. He didn't even see that coming.
Yeah, so Dignitas seems to generally be in the right places at the right times, and their turret game is very strong right now. As Cutie was saying in the interview, he's not so much a carry on Jinx as he is a marksman who just kills turrets from range, which he's doing very well right now. Sure, he took an Ezreal off, but they're just getting more turret damage. Look at this.
And what EG is doing is playing into the hands of Dig. If Pobelter can kill Skara as fast as it looks like, why send him to a different lane?
Yeah, well, think about it. Once Pobelter goes down especially, they don't have wave clear from any sources. Unless Crepo goes all in, Inox can't do much more than Spear. And once the Ezreal ult is down, which Yellow Pete threw, it was at an angle with which it could not clear all the minions. There was nothing to stop Dignitas from sieging through. It's a bit of a compositional weakness that EG has to make up for, that they have very poor ranged wave clear, which is interesting since they're playing a bit of a siege poke comp.
All right, looks like Crepo's going to eat a few shots here. That would have been a very nice zap for a few more turret shots to scale up. 24.7 to 23.4. Dignitas has somewhat of a lead, and it's a good thing it's on Skara, as we were saying. You see that the Bloodthirster, like you said, being stacked up by I'm a Cutie Pie. He's ready to get those turrets taken down.
Yeah, he's done his job taking down plenty of turrets so far. Skara, I wonder if he's going to go just for like a death cap with that needlessly large rod, because he hasn't actually had to look at Pobelter much. I think he's mainly getting away with this because Pobelter is a little bit distracted in other places right now. You can see, I'm trying to figure out right here, EG's going with a bit of a switched up strategy right here. They put Inox in the top lane to start the game, but now they're moving Pobelter to be in the split pusher, and they're going to try the siege with a blue buff Inox. So therefore, Skara does not have to itemize armor because he's very rarely fighting with Zed. He's not seeing him at all in this game.
Yeah, they're really turning Zed into the split pusher here, and Inox the sieger. 3-2 in kills, as it looks like they're trying to force each other into something and raise that number a little bit here.
Yeah, it's a pretty low kill, high objective game. Both teams have one more turret than kill, actually. And the siege should continue from EG, trying to take out this pink ward in the top. And every time Pobelter shoves in side lane, he's actually rotating back to join the team. And if one thing is dangerous for a poke comp, it's doing Dragon without being able to get poked down. But Dignitas decides to just try and get more turrets because that's their focus.
That was great placement by Evil Geniuses there. Dig was really right around mid, huddled up. Oh, Crepo throws down the solar flare, but he gets flame chomped. A great placement by Cutie Pie. And it thwarts
the turn.
Cruiser's right in the middle of the fight with teleport. Crepo's the focus, and he goes down as he's been putting that health on, but it's not enough. Pobelter's the final focus. No, Inox, Cruiser rather, going down as Inox finds that kill. Crumbs, he is ignited, but he is still going strong. The rappel goes up so he can follow. The cocoon goes out, and Pobelter is already well out of range with shadows.
Really high-level fight there. Just 1 for 1 on each side.
Man.
So many skills dodged or barely missed by these guys. Everyone disengaging low, and Dignitas fearlessly continues for another turret.
Jack, you look at these teams, it's a skill shot party to be dodged, as you said. So hard for these guys to keep themselves in the right position. Cutie Pie losing a quarter of his health there. Yellow Pete goes down. Didn't even know what was happening behind the turret. And Cutie Pie, like he said, you get excited, and it's over.
Yeah, and he's in and out of that fight, no problem. 1-1-3 on him right now, trying to get a little bit more farmed on Jinx. It's all about the long-range stuns and finishes there from both sides. I mean, if a Nidalee Spear hits, it ends. If it isn't, the other way. And the reason that EG, I think, lost this fight is they tried to hard initiate without Inox landing any spears. Even at the start of the fight, you could see that one spear went clean through the entire Dignitas team. At that point, Cruiser's front line, despite dying, took up a lot of time from Dignitas, from EG, and it just allowed Dignitas to clean up the rest of that fight, because no poke was landed by EG before the fight.
A lot of people have been playing Nidalee lately, but it gets to that fight phase and you just see them jumping in, kind of forgetting the way it should be played off in the Fog of War, throwing the spears in.
Yeah, they saw the opportunity, and I think if Snoopy hadn't gotten caught in the Flame Chompers and they could have taken out AmaCutiePie from the get-go, they would have been able to win that fight. It was a close enough opportunity. If you think about the Leona landing,
that was spot on.
Spot on. And then if Crepo could have chained, that means that Inox would have landed the max range spear, and it would have been a dead Jinx.
They get that single target focus. They have the long range from Crepo. We're seeing the gold be very closed in here between both teams. It's only about 30K to 31. 5-3 in turrets.
Super close, yeah. Objectives have been very strong for Dignitas. Obviously, the wave clear of Ziggs, I think, is putting a lot of map pressure onto EG. Also, the attack speed with which Jinx can take down turrets has resulted in many positive things. But now it's all about Pobelter's split pushing and Inox's spears. It surprisingly comes down to the bottom lanes. Look out.
And a flash Tibbers. There he goes. Yellow P is the last one in line, and he's taken down first.
Yeah, well, look at these bottom lanes right now. It was just support on AD carry, and Dignitas can continue this push up the top. Pobelter gets caught split pushing while his team gets initiated on, and he has to come back. This turret's going to take a lot of damage before EG can counterattack. Leona's coming in from the flank.
Dig has everything they need here. Crepo's just sitting off on the wing here in the Fog of War, but he decides to not do anything. The team says hold off just now. The inhibitor turret falls, so they're now fighting without that damage. They may want to try this one onto him. Oh, he gets him off the ducky. The alley-oop on Scar and himself. He goes down. No, here comes the barrier in for Skara. Tries to take him down. 30 seconds on the clock there, but 3 fall instantly for EG on the return fire, and it's not what they wanted.
Hey, we talked about the momentum that Dignitas might carry through from their previous win today against XDG, and we're just seeing the benefits of confidence for Dignitas right now. They stayed in for the inhibitor. They knew that it was going to be a 4v5 regardless, and they were only down a few key spells. So when this fight is initiated, even though it's onto Skara, it is still a full 5v4. Skara gets off some decent damage. AmaCutiePie is pretty much untouched in that fight, and since everyone was diving to the Ziggs once again without landing poke, it's a straight up fight with a bunch of squishy champions against a team that has a strong tank and AoE. It's not going to end well for EG.
That's something I've been looking at for the past few minutes here, is that strong tank. Where does that fall in line on EG's side? They don't have the HP to stay in these fights for longer than the first round of spells.
I mean, unless Snoopy were to get 7 kills in the next fight, I don't think he's going to be turning into a tank anytime soon. That's generally why I think they picked Ezreal as well, is because I think game plan-wise, the team comp is sound, because they should be able to just kind of keep their distance, poke, and then let Crepo initiate when they want to.
Right.
But the problem is Dignitas is forcing EG to initiate by pushing turrets relentlessly and catching EG in some bad positions.
And they're giving themselves the chance to do that. They went with the Talisman of Ascension. They have distortion boots on the anti-mobility. They want it over and over.
And speaking of boots, that inhibitor would have been much easier to defend if Pobelter wasn't trying to skimp on his item build and had able to get home guard boots.
Crumbs, he actually, oh wait, it goes up. He's gonna take that damage from the death mark.
Oh.
But it looks like they're trying to come into this one strong. Crumbs gets the kill over onto Yellow Pete. Crepo falls right after. They were wandering alone. Yeah, they had power in numbers, but Dignitas was ready to close in.
Pretty good jukes by Pobelter, but the third one lands.
Oh, he's gonna be forced to flash on that. He's got a shadow coming up. He doesn't throw it back. He throws it
a
forward.
stun.
Tries to get it on the stun. There's no slow to follow. Cruiser is just too sticky.
Woo, he almost took out AmaCutiePie in the back there when Pobelter was trying to get some stuff down, but that's another 3 kills by Dignitas.
Everything
yeah.
says forward drive. Skara still hasn't bought a defensive item.
Now, he doesn't need one right now because EG isn't able to get the right kind of team fights. This is going to be a last-ditch effort for a steal. Snoopy's trying to go in 1v5. I think if he doesn't steal this Baron, the game is over.
There's a good amount of damage coming in. They don't have the Zig, so they can't throw in the bomb. No, it does go over to Crumbs. A very nice job. Low on Snoopy. Sometimes you just got to try.
Got to hand it to him. The timing of that Baron entrance was awesome, considering he did it all by himself, and surprisingly, Dignitas didn't decide to peel away. Obviously, Crumbs can secure that by himself if he times the smite with his Spider Bite as well as possible, since there is an execute tied to that Elise melee Q. Just more confidence from Dignitas coming through once again.
The game progresses on here. Dragon going over to EG as we see a few sweepers being pulled out, so this becomes a bit easier. They have the ward coverage all over Dragon, and this is what they need. If Dig is going to give them these little steps, they have to take it.
Hell, this is a great Dragon Sneak by EG. It gives them a huge amount of gold, but I still think their base is somewhat indefensible. And Dignitas, even though it's only 25 minutes in,
Looking grim.
they're a little sad about this Dragon, but the overall context of the game is just looking great for them.
Fiendish Codex right onto Kiwi Kid. You know, it's never good when the ability power support can start actually building the damage they need. Aegis of the Legion onto Crepo, thinking about the team, trying to be a good guy, and we see the Triforce almost being built up on Yellow Pete. But in comparison, he is far behind on that ADC.
Yeah, everybody is generally far behind on EG right now.
Right.
The one person who has a decent amount of gold is Inox. 9,000 to actually 8,500 of Cruiser. Once again, EG wasn't too far off in a lot of these cases. If they could have landed a few more Natally Spears, and if Dignitas wasn't so damn decisive about where they were going, EG could have fought some of this back. But really, so far, all credit for Dignitas to, first off, Skara for not having to build a Seeker's Arm Guard against a mid lane Zed. And then just, again, to AmaCutiePie, who 4th game in a row has had a successful game on Jinx with his new support in Kiwi Kid, who is, again, performing exceptionally. Let's see how easily they can push down this turret. Again, they've avoided most of the poke, and they're already on the turret. So if EG wanted to stop it, they would have to do a hard initiation, which is just, they've done it too many times to try it again.
Such a stressful thing to be ticking against you, knowing you have to watch these structures go down just to have a better chance at the next one.
Yeah. Well, at least they'll have a turret defending this next one.
So Dignitas now can play off the ball. Ninja going to be coming down mid. There are 27 minutes into this game, and something this season Dignitas has shown is being more definitive. At this part of the game, usually both teams are running back and forth trying to figure out what to do.
Well, if we remember last season, Dignitas would win games just by being really far ahead, and in close games, they wouldn't be able to finish. But that's because everyone was just kind of putting in their 2 cents. Whoa.
There's 50 cents right there.
Yeah, that's a
There's
good
half.
contribution by Inox to Dignitas' plans right there.
Nice guy.
But this season, with Crumbs being the one making the calls, yes or no? That one person's not going to disagree with themselves, so they're generally going to be doing the right things.
Well, the right things have led to 4-0-7 on Crumbs, 4-1-6 on Skara, and even CutiePie still only dying once on what is now his Jinx as Dignitas comes around to pick spans. The oh-so-great ultimate flash initiation on Tibbers. All the health bars, Snoopy, Crepo going down so quickly. Pobelter's being focused. Cruiser tanks the turret first. It worked beautifully for the team, and the dive continues back towards the fountain. A kill coming out, however, onto Crumbs. He goes down valiantly for the team, but it's a clean ace, chat.
Triple kill comes in at the end for Scar. That's the decisive initiation. Kiwi Kid leading the charge with the flash Tibbers and everybody else fearlessly following up.
Dignitas has got themselves a pretty fast new car. They've been in the driver's seat for the past 4 games, and it doesn't look like they're stopping anytime soon. A win here over Evil Geniuses gives them another win in the column.
Dignitas going to try and carry this one as far as they can. A very confident team steps up right now. Cutie Pie is happy about his 4th Jinx win in a row. That is another very clean Dignitas victory. You know, the first one of the day against XTG was a little shaky, but once they took that turn, they just never let up. A dominating win over EG here.
So we looked a little bit at the bottom lane. It played out very well. Yellow Pete was able to get a few kills on Ezreal, but like we said, like you said, that was going to be more of a passive lane with Ezreal. It's not the one that carries you.
It's strange. They kind of went in both directions here. They wanted a Ezreal because they didn't have very good peel, AD carry-wise. You can see Scar getting a lot of applause, and the rest of Dignitas, of course, as they walk across the stage. But that bottom lane for EG was mixed between two worlds. They wanted to shut down Jinx with Leona, but they wanted to have a lot of disengage for Ezreal because they had a full poke comp. So it just, you can see it's still a young team. They're trying to work with everyone's champion pools. Inox, they need to enable him to play things like Nidalee because he was very good in that game. And if the rest of the team would have came together, it would have been effective. And they're just, you know, they're going through growing pains.
Yeah.
You see the name Evil Geniuses and you think this really experienced old school team, but that's just 3/5 of the team. 40% of the team is still new, and it's an adjustment for everyone, not just the new guys.
You say champion picks, and I think that's where Dignitas has really started to come up a lot bigger. They felt comfortable enough to leave Elise up to the last pick, and they were able to still fit that in their composition, knowing it could have been taken away.
Exactly. I don't think they cared that much if it was taken away. Crumbs had only played one Elise up until this game. He would have been very comfortable on Vi if Snoopy didn't take it away. He had just won twice on Vi already. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Coming up, Scara will join Freak and Kobe to talk about the resurgence of Dignitas with their 4th straight win. Then in our final LCS match of the day, we get an old grudge match when TSM faces off against CLG. The action continues after this.
They're on Cross. I'm out.
I'm looking for TP. I'm looking for TP.
I'm on Ezreal. I'm on Pole Bouncer.
Leona.
I'm on Pole Bouncer.
I'm going for
Okay, go
Zen.
for it.
Keep going.
You can flash if you want to.
I have slow on 2.
Cocoon in 1.
Keep worked.
Get it, Cruiser. Whoop. Nice. I don't have coin.
You got anything? Yeah, I got a slow.
I have Q. It's a stun. I have ward. That's all you, Cruiser. I have a Q on him. Careful.
Nice.
BD got chunked. BD got chunked.
Oh, you.
I'm fine.